Well, welcome to the Stone Roadie podcast. This is the one you don't want to miss. It stars Craig Reed, the Stone Roadie, and Griff, the rocket scientist. Let's not forget Captain Got to see, and all the old friends come along. Lord Willie, talking Skinner, and leaving you with a song.
Rise and shine, everybody. It's time to wake and bake with Craig Reed and Griff Martin.
It's the Stone Roadie Show, and it's podcast 319. It's Monday, July 28th, and roll 'em if you got 'em. Hey there, Stone Roadie Dimension. Looky here, looky here. My name's Craig Reed, a.k.a. the Stone Roadie. With me again, as always, my co-host, co-pilot, and the rocket scientist, Griff Martin. And looky here who we got with us today. It's Chris and John from Second Helping. Yeah, look at that. They even got me. Old pass from theirs. I had all access to one of their shows one time.
Was that?
And yeah, Chris and John. Chris is the guitar player, and John's the singer. And yeah, I'm just gonna quit jibber jabbering and just let Griff just take it from here. He's been set this all up as normal. You know, he's a director.
Production manager, director.
Yeah.
Talent
I just show up because, you know, I got brain damage. But okay, I'm done.
Well, I met these two guys in the Villages last Saturday. They sold out one of the theaters at the Villages, and from what I hear, they always sell out. Really great. That's the first time I've heard Second Helping. I've heard a lot of other Skynyrd tribute bands, and I've been waiting to hook up with these guys. And Gene said, "Come on out and take a listen to Second Helping and meet these guys." And I was certainly glad I did, and I conned them into coming on the podcast here. And Chris even had me signing autographs there at the venue. You know, every time they would come up and they'd say, "Hey, Chris, we want your autograph." And he'd say, "You don't want mine, you want Griff's." You know, Griff's the one. I'd be like, and they'd be like, "Well, who's he?" "Oh, he's got a podcast," you know, and then he got out of having to sign it. So, but anyway, yeah, it's Chris McAllister and John Riggs. John's the singer for Second Helping, and John, man, you do a great Ronnie Van Zant, like one of the best I've heard out of the tributes. You know, you've got definitely got that Ronnie Van Zant swagger and, you know, lead man thing going on, and I
appreciate that. That's very nice of you to say. I appreciate that.
And the crowd, they're very receptive, and they also you can tell how they actually have a following, because there's people that follow these guys, and something a lot of people might not know is they are actually endorsed by the current Lynyrd Skynyrd band. Johnny Van Zant's even got a video, and I'm going to try to put that little video up. I got to get it downloaded where he endorses these guys. And what's really cool is, back before tribute bands were even anything that we know of, you know, I mean, back in the 70s, you didn't hear of any like Jimmy Buffett tribute band or Lynyrd Skynyrd tribute band or Led Zeppelin, and these guys kind of conquered the tribute band thing right up front, and they got one-on-one lessons from the actual band members. So that's why they're here. They're going to tell some stories about interactions with actual Lynyrd Skynyrd members, you know, like Leon and Gary and Ed King and, you know, Johnny, and they hung out with those guys, and and actually had guitar lessons and things like that to make sure that the music was right. And I think that's why the band endorsed them, because they play the music right. They play it correct. So we're going to go. We're going to go through some of the stories they have, but before we do, we just want to mention another thing about the auction that we have running, the Paul Conley auction. It's still up and running, and we're going to run that video at the end of this podcast so you guys can take another look at it. And if anybody's interested in bidding on that auction, it will probably be closing soon for another week or two or whatever, but take a look. Stick around for the end of the podcast and take a look at the auction. And if you've got a bid that you want to bid on it, just go to thestonedroadie@gmail.com. And of course, I'll have it up there on the video so you can see where to mail your bid. Well, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this interview here with John and Chris, and it's going to be a lot of cool stuff. And one of the things that I'd like to go ahead and mention is Chris, he stays in touch with Sharon King, and we get a lot of interest in where is Sharon King with the Ed King book. A lot of people think that it's not going to happen or whatever, but we have an update that Chris can talk about with that, and we'll go ahead and kick it off with that. Chris, if you don't mind, give us an update on that book.
Sure.
What you know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So who's Sharon King? No, I'm kidding. Sharon, don't get mad at me. Yeah, I'll launch right into that. But I do want to clarify the band, the corporation, Lynyrd Skynyrd, has never formally completely endorsed the band. So we hear a lot about that, but just for the record, Lynyrd Skynyrd themselves have not said, "Hey, we've come out, we endorse the band." But let me tell you about why people do say that. You did see Johnny's video?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I
so
did.
that one's pretty clear, where he comes out, thanks the band for keeping it alive. You guys have been doing it. We appreciate it.
Hey, I want to wish Second Helping a happy 35th anniversary. Keep playing that great Skynyrd music. You've been doing it a long time. And Chris and guys, appreciate you.
And so folks will look at it that way. As well, in the early days of Second Helping, when guys they work with us a lot and say, "Oh, good job, keep it up," all of that. And we had that access. And so a lot of the agents and managements would say they're endorsed like that and this and that, Randall Hall and all of that. The proper way to say it is several of the band members have. The organization, isn't that fair, you think?
I'd say
Yeah. The band organization, all of that, that has never really happened. That would be Judy and all of that. And that absolutely has not happened. But band members, they have. They've worked with us and tell us we got it right. And I'm even ready to show guitar players a part of Curtis Lowe that most people, when they play the slide, don't do it right. And I'm going to show you. I can show you how to play it the right way so they can learn that. All right. The book. I did speak with Sharon this morning. And I did ask, what can I say, what I cannot say, and all that. The book has definitely happened, so let's squash that stuff. It is happening. There's a lot that goes into it, and Sharon's all over it. She's when producing a book, there's a lot that has to be done, T's and I's dotted, but I assure you that book will be coming out. That is a fact there. Sharon's doing great. She lives in Nashville. She still has her two puppies. She still has her two puppies, Ollie and what's that? Oh, there we go. She still has the two puppies. Ollie, well, they're full grown. Ollie and Petey. I think they're both over 10 years old. We played the last summer the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, and Sharon came out, and it was great visiting with her. She hung out and gave some of the guys in the band some of Ed's seashell picks, and
Cool.
those are always really great stories. I remember I took a bag full of those picks. I knew which ones he liked. And this guy was so particular. I took them, gave him a whole bag. You know how many of those he kept? And there must be a few hundred. You know how many he kept? Zero.
Oh,
He said he went through them and he goes, some of them were close, but he was really particular. And there were, from what I understand, there were 4 or 5 people that would get those, and he liked them. I can't remember where, from a certain beach, but I happened to get some from wherever I was. But yeah, Sharon's doing great. She's still working on it. She's lives over in Nashville. It was great seeing her. She was very kind to the band and all that kind of stuff.
One of the reasons, I guess, that you're pretty good friends with Sharon is because you were pretty close to Ed King, from what I understand. He was one of the guys that kind of took you under his wing and showed you guys some, how to really play the music the correct way. And I guess you guys kind of became pretty close, and he helped you out quite a bit.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of stories to unwrap here. So let's just go ahead and start off with the beginning, and which I find very interesting, is how you guys got started. And how was it? Of course, I know you were talking about you got invited to the practice at the studio there on Jacobs. So let's talk about how you guys got hooked up with Lynyrd Skynyrd and decided to start the tribute band that's so successful today.
Sure. Well, I first met Ed in the early '80s, and I can back up and go in as much detail as you want. I met Ed and the guys in the band in the early '80s, so they were pretty stagnant. It was after Ross and Collins and all of that, and I was in college and I was doing a psych paper. Hated that class, and I chose as my final term paper to do it on PTSD, and I'm sitting there going, good grief, at least I want to get something that would interest me. So I thought, I'm going to try to use the Lynyrd Skynyrd plane crash and talk with the survivors, and relative to the psychological effect. And so I reached out. I can't remember to who. I think a bunch of attorneys. The attorneys called the guys. They opened the door for me. I spoke at length with Billy, Leon, and Alan quite a bit when I did the paper. And those 3 guys, they talked a lot about and Gene, Wake and Bake. Okay, they talked as well as with Gene. And so I was writing the paper, and I was well into it, and I can't remember which one it was that suggested I get up with Ed King.
Hey, just a second here, Chris. I want to interject something. Back when you were talking to these guys, and of course your paper was on PTSD.
Yeah.
That was a touchy subject, that plane crash with those guys back in. That was pretty fresh. It was still, within 10 years of that plane crash, and it was like, a lot of people were afraid to mention that around those guys. So for you to be able to do that, but anyway, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, and I remember. No, that's all right. I remember when I broached that subject with them. What was really cool, and here's one of the things that I really want a lot of Lynyrd Skynyrd fans to know about these guys. And I know you all have heard it, and Craig knows it. These guys are incredibly still, incredibly approachable, super nice, kind, genuine, sit down, have a cup of coffee with you, and you feel like you've known them forever. And they were like that. So when I approached them, I I told him up front, I'm like, here's what I'm doing it on. I'm very sensitive to what you went through. And I did ask some of the hard questions. And every last one of them were just gracious. Of course, I heard the emotion. I can hear the emotion in their voice, but they held in there pretty good when I was talking with them. I have all kind of notes. They're in my attic somewhere where I was, writing them down and all that. So anyway, I did the paper, and one of those three guys said, "Why don't you get up with Ed?" And I thought that was kind of weird. But their take was Ed was out of the band and could have been on the plane. And so I called Ed and, just said, hey, this is what I'm doing. And then, Ed agreed to talk with me. And so, I got talking with Ed, and Ed and I, you meet somebody, you like them right off. And Ed at that time was just as far away from the rock and roll music scene as you could get. He was, very involved with his church and family. And he and I, that was our common ground. Actually, Ed and Greg Martin and I we were those guys that could have those open discussions with Ed about his faith and all that. So that's pretty much where Ed and I centered a lot of the friendship. And so after that, I stayed in touch with Ed, and that friendship nurtured. And lo and behold, I remember when he got back with Skynyrd, and a lot of things, something a lot of folks don't know. You know who Elliot Randall is? The guy that wrote the lead with Steely Dan, "Reeling in the Years."
Oh, that's where I remembered that name. Yeah, I know Ed loves Steely Dan.
That absolutely amazing guitar solo. So Ed, we were talking one day, and he said, "Hey, man," because Ed was very involved in church, and he had done a Christian album with Dave McIntosh, and when I listened to it, it's like, oh man, that is just, you can pick Ed King's guitar out of a stadium full of guitar players, and I heard that, it's like, Ed, this is really, really good. And so he was very cautious about playing music that wasn't Christian at that time. This is probably 82, and he called one day and he says, "You ever heard of Elliot Randall?" I said, yeah. And he said, Elliot was wondering if me and him would like to do some shows together. And I'm sitting there going, wow, that would be good. Those two amazing guitar players. And he struggled with it. And then fast forward to 86, 87, whenever the guys were talking about it, I've heard, a couple different stories who brought it up first. I remember when Ed brought it up, and he was very apprehensive, about it because, again, of his faith and hitting the road again, and, everything that involves, that. Of course, you're away from your family. He would be away from a lot of stuff, and being back out there again. And, we talked about that a little bit. He had the opportunity, if you remember, in the 87, he would, right before Needle and the Spoon, he would share a little bit, about the evils of drugs and stuff. And if Ed was here today, he would tell you he struggled. They all did. And he would, give a pretty good positive message to the people. So anyway, moving forward, they went out and they toured and all of that stuff. And so I would stay in touch with him, and how's it going out there? All this kind of stuff. And he told me one day, he says, "Man, I'm making something you're going to absolutely love." I'm like, "Really? What is it?" He goes, "Wait till we come off tour and I'll send it to you." And so one day out of the blue, I go to the mailbox and open up this package from Ed. And Craig, I'm sure you got a copy of it, or you've seen it. You're in it. I open it up, and it's a VHS tape, and all it said was, I think it said 1987 tribute tour, according to Ed. Have you ever seen that, Craig?
I know the '87 tribute tour tape.
No,
yeah,
this was his a homemade video that he made.
Oh, not sure.
Oh yeah,
I probably did. I just don't remember.
it's really cool. So anyway, I open it up, and that dude, he had one of those old camera, had toured the whole, had taken that, and there's a lot of funny stuff on there. Now a lot of it is on YouTube. I think if you go and put according to Ed, Ed King according to Ed video, folks can see a lot of that. I opened that up and I was blown away. So anyway, I called back and said, holy cow, there's all this kind of stuff. And Craig's in it quite a bit. I remember that. The whole band is in it. Some really vintage stuff. There's one thing in there where you see Billy at a venue, piano, in there playing classical music. Just beautiful sound. And that stood out. A lot of behind the scenes stuff that Skynyrd fans would just have a blast with and all that. So he sent that. And so after the tour, they were going to go back out. Apparently somewhere, somehow they made the decision that they were going to go back out in '88 and do a handful more of shows. And Ed calls up and said, hey, you want to come? At the time I lived in Clearwater. You want to come to Jacksonville and visit and all that? I said, sure. He goes, we're rehearsing.
You didn't even have to think hard on that, did you, Chris?
Not at all. Not at all. He said, we're rehearsing. And, if you'd like to come up, I took a buddy of mine up, you come up and we can visit and, you can, hang out and whatnot. And I was telling Craig later, and Sharon mentioned this too, as others, they said, wait, nobody was allowed to go in their rehearsal. It was closed. I didn't know that. I found that out later. Maybe they changed the rule later on, but they were so nice. I remember walking into the studio at Jacobs Avenue, or Jacob Street, whatever it was. It was a greenhouse. You walked in, and from the outside, it looked like just a green house. Well, Larkin Collins' office was there. So when you walked in, to the right was Larkin Collins' office, and to the left was Craig's office. And then you walked straight back, and you opened the door, and that was where their studio was. As soon as you walked in, I think they had the board and stuff to the left, and the band was set up on the right-hand side. So I'm sitting there all day long listening to Skynyrd play with an audience of about maybe 5 people in the whole building. And I was blown away, just absolutely blown away. Their humor was just over the top. I was telling Craig earlier, I used to love just to sit and listen to Billy and Leon talk. And I was telling the story. One of the things I remember in there that they were playing 3 steps, and Leon stopped and said, Billy, you're missing a note on one of the runs. Now there's a couple of runs in there. Da 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 da. There's one, and then you have another one. Da 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 da. With something like da 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 da, something like that. Well, Leon took exception to one note and said, Billy, I think you're missing one of the notes. And so then the show began. Those two started.
No, you gotta do the Billy Powell interpreter.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Impersonation. You got to do that. He does it well.
Yeah, he had a very distinct voice. So Leon's like, and then there they go. They're like, Billy goes, nope, I'm playing the right note. That's what it is, Leon. No, it isn't, Billy. No, it isn't. Yep, yes, it is. It's what?
It's an E.
It's an E. It's in the key of E, and that's the note I'm playing. No rabbit food, no nothing. But it was. I'm sitting there watching that, going, "Hey, these guys are normal. They're like any other band." And so that was all. But they weren't arguing and fighting. They were just having that discussion. We do that. We do that all the time. John, who plays guitar, he called me out on Saturday Night Special. I think you're putting too much harmonic harmonic on it. I thought, how do you hear that stuff? But anyway, so
what was it I called you out on?
Saturday last night.
Last week was like somebody's hitting a bad note here.
Oh yeah. Thank you for bringing that up all over the world, my buddy.
Who's that, a tune?
No, it was at Tuesday's Gone. If you look, our version of Tuesday's Gone, we do a hybrid. We do the arrangement of the live, but we add a lot of the studio stuff in it. So all those little chirping things that you hear Gary doing, blah 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 blah, in the on the studio album, we do that. Tom, our other guitar player, does that. One of our guitar players, and so John, who's a guitar player and actually joined Second Helping as a guitar player and later transitioned to a singer. There's a part in there, the Skynyrd fans will know it, where it goes ding 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 ding. Well, I played a minor on a major, and he caught it. Right there at sound check. Somebody ain't right. Somebody's this.
Just like Ronnie would probably do.
It's exactly what he did. And so, he did that. Now, one thing I definitely want to do, and I'll get back to our story. There's this sweet lady that works for Victory Productions. Her name is Marina. And my gosh, there are booking agents and people like that should go to a seminar and sit at the feet of Marina. She was amazing. We absolutely just fell in love with with those people. Jude and Dawn at the Savannah Center. We rarely have we ever done that. When I talked to Marina, I said, if you ever call and want us, because she booked several venues, if you ever call and want us in your at one of your venues, before you even ask, it's yes. They are top shelf, absolutely amazing. We fell in love with that lady in the venue. And by the way, we're working on coming back in the spring, so we'll be able to do that. And from what I understand, Craig's agreed to fly down there.
Yeah.
Where?
You see Greg's face, like, wait a minute.
Chris, they're not ready for Craig at the Villages yet.
Well, so anyway, I wanted to definitely say we just fell in love with Marina, Victory Productions, and Savannah Center. They just know how to do it. Highly professional, just amazing. So anyway,
we do call you out, Craig, at every show.
Yeah, we can get to that too. We did it at when we
first. You did. When I came and saw y'all did it too.
Yeah, we did that.
At that time, you said the girls had been doing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we still do it. We have one girl that'll do it. What we do is in What's Your Name, we go where it says one of the crew had to go with one of the best, one of the rest. Guest. I'm the one
that sings. He doesn't know the words.
Yeah, that's right. With one of the guests, with right where it goes, one of the guests, Fleeta, one of our background singers, she goes, Craig Reed, right into the mic. You can hear it. So every now and then, folks say, what's that name? What is it? And we tell people. That was a real person. There's a real story to it. So anyway, at that rehearsal, I'm sitting there listening to the guys and visiting with Ed, and everybody in the band was just so super duper nice to me. I got to meet them face to face. The ones I hadn't met before. I had known Leon and Billy. I knew them. And some of the other guys that would become Skynyrd guys, little Timmy Smith, through Vision. I had known them through them, so that was early '80s as well. So I knew some. So it was pretty comfortable.
Tim Smith was kind of like Leon's personal person. Yeah, Timmy lived with Leon at the mansion.
Yeah,
took out
like his handler.
Yeah, he was Leon's handler,
assistant.
Basically. Yeah, he took care of Leon. There was a lot of, people wanted to, Leon to do things, and they had to go through Timmy Smith.
Yeah.
He was like
Yeah.
Leon's organizer. Yeah, kept him together. Yeah.
And Tim was just a very, I mean, you can't help but love the guy. He was such a nice.
And then he was. What was his position on the tribute tour? He was the. He was there. He was,
Yeah, he was.
I forget what his position was.
It seemed that I think he probably helped Paul out a lot, just getting the band here and there and, that kind of thing. I don't know. I know when he was with Vision.
I'll have to look in one of my itineraries and see what his official position was. He was like a Dean Kilpatrick.
Yeah.
He kind of just like kept things together. Yeah. Kept
And
it together.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because after he left, that was my job.
Well, I always,
Yeah.
I can't remember how I met.
Like a blind leading a blind, putting me in charge of
So, Chris, you went to the studio, and it was basically, I mean, for a thesis paper, not to find out about how to start a tribute band, right? How did you get from doing the paper to starting a tribute band?
Well,
we should interject that Chris is actually a history professor.
Yeah, he's actually a professor.
So we had the paper had been done, not a word, had been done by this time 2, 3, 4 years at that time. So I'm way past that. The friendship with Ed it melded very well, and he from '82 until Ed died. We were.
Were you a guitar player at the time, Chris?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What were you doing with, your guitar playing? Anything? Were you in a band or?
Yeah, I was in a band. I was playing in clubs and bars, offending people, and because I apparently didn't know what I was doing. But anyway, I had just really come into guitar playing probably in the '70s, and I could hold my own. I was in a lot of Southern rock bands. But anyway, I was past that. Stayed in touch with Ed. Got to know Billy. Got to know Leon through Vision. Rocco Marshall and Mark Maples and Dave and Lynyrd. That's just going back a long time. And got to know them. Helped bring them to. There was a venue, and we helped bring them into it. So I got to know them through that. I worked on a interview that they did that Rocco and Billy did. It's very rare. I think YouTube somehow got it. There's an interview. It was out of Lakeland, Florida, so people could search the interview with Billy Powell, Lakeland, Florida. It's like 1984 or 85 or something like that. And they talked about a lot of Billy and Leon's faith. They had during the 80s. Billy had been converted to Christ, and Leon as well, and so that got us talking, and we had that in common, as did Ed, and all of that. So there was a lot that I had at that time. I knew a handful of the guys, and was able to go in and visit and all that. So I'm sitting there, and I was amazed. And at a break, they were all talking, and which one is that? Is that Wicker or Leon?
This is Leon.
Leon. And as you know, we have two Bijans also.
Yeah. Wicker, come here.
Yeah, Chris has Bijans too, Craig. He's got a couple.
These are Pouchons. These are half miniature poodle. Pouchons.
Oh, okay.
Half miniature poodle.
I remember them, man.
That's why they're so little. Leon's only 5 pounds.
Oh.
And Leon has PTSD too, Chris, because he was kidnapped by one of Craig's wives, and it was a whole wife. Yeah, it was a whole thing, man. And, so
at the during the break, they were sitting around talking, and they were saying they were saying things like, well, we're only going to do Joe Osborne was there. I remember that. What a genius. And oh, that's a blessing. Look at that.
Once they get it out of their system, they're buddies again.
They live together, man. But I hear you. Yeah. So look at that. Oh boy. So now they're fine. So in the discussion, they were saying, yeah, we're only going to do a handful more of tours and shows and whatnot. Then that's going to be it. So I'm thinking, oh gosh, 1988, and that's it. They were just going to extend the tribute tour because they wanted more people to see it. It was huge success, so they wanted to keep it up. And then when I don't know who it was that said it, but they said, yeah, we're just going to do a handful more of shows in 1988 and this kind of stuff. And I heard that. I said, that's it? You're gonna give it up? He said, yeah, we're just going to do it as a tribute to the fans. And right out of my mouth, without thinking, I said, you got to be kidding me. Somebody should do a tribute to you guys. And when I said that, Gary Rossington started poking fun at me and tee hee ha ha. What? And he said, what, like Beatlemania and all of that? Neil Diamond, Elvis Skynyrd, and all of that. It's like, yeah, I got it, buddy. And I so much want to go say, look, pal, it embarrassed me. It made me mad. All of that kind of stuff. But I kept my mouth shut. I realized where I was at. I wanted to see it. Plus Ed's there. And, I didn't want to embarrass him by saying, look, give it a rest. But I thought it, but I never said it. And
what about the rest of the guys, Chris? Were they open? What were their thoughts?
No, everybody was like, ha, 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 he.
And just following Gary's lead.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And just everybody blew it off. I didn't blow it off. And so literally, John does tell the story out of spite, I went back to Clearwater. I knew again. It's Clearwater is a bastion of Southern rockers, and I mean it was nothing to have members of the Outlaws, Blackfoot, especially the Allman Brothers, and all of these guys would come in, and we had multiple stories about that happening. And so there was a lot of Southern rock players, and so I got up with a guy by the name of Danny Grable, and we talked about it. I ran an ad, hey, look, here's a concept. Anybody interested in doing a tribute to Lynyrd Skynyrd? And then back then, there was no such thing as tribute bands.
Right.
There was Beatlemania. Everybody knew that one. And there was a couple of others. It was real thin. I think a Pink Floyd called Time Machine or something like that.
So that's a great name for a tribute band, huh? Suck and Helping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where'd you get that?
And an album.
Yeah, an album.
Great album.
How about that? Very coincidental, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so I ran the ad, and a guy by the name of Dave, we called him Hefty because he's basically the size of Wally. You remember Wally?
Oh, yeah.
Who's Wally, one of the crew with Skynyrd. Scared me to death, man. This guy's literally the size of a door. He
played tuba on the tribute, first part of the tribute. He was the tuba player, the great big guy. Yeah.
Yeah, big guy.
He'd have been on the 87 on the tape. Yeah.
Oh yeah, all of them were.
He's on there. Yeah, Wally's on it. Yeah. He died several years ago.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And I think Big Lou's
he was alive,
right?
He was like a bouncer and all the.
Yeah, Big Lou was. He was at the celebration of life that we had for Gary at Whitey's. Which, if we'd have known you guys, we'd have loved to have had you guys come then. That was a really great time we had there at Whitey's.
Yeah, I mean,
and Big Lou was there. He was there.
Yeah, we would certainly. Entertain that for sure. So when I ran the ad, I got these great guitar players and Hefty Dave. We call him Hefty because he's big. And we started in a garage, and everybody bought into the concept of, which is unheard of. All we're going to do is Lynyrd Skynyrd. And back then, bar bands did 4 sets. We would say, well, we're going to do a concert format. We're going to do 2 hours. And so we put the band together. We auditioned all kind of people. And we had one of those guys from the original audition that came and played with us at the Savannah Center, named Rocky Diamond, a very well-known guitar player throughout Florida to this day. And so we go through all of these guys, and we settled on, a couple of people, and we literally went from the garage to the national stage. It seemed like overnight. I remember we played, we did a benefit show, and people were stunned. They couldn't believe it. It was like seeing people would call us around town Baby Skynyrd. And it's like, what's this Baby Skynyrd stuff? And they came up with Baby Skynyrd because we weren't Lynyrd Skynyrd. We were a miniature. We did their show in little clubs and all of that. And that all the musicians called us, oh yeah, Baby Skynyrd, second helping and all that.
Who was singing at the time, Chris?
We started off with Danny, who stayed with us for, I think, I'm not sure, about a year, maybe a little less. And then we got the guy that really helped put us on the map. His name was Chris Tomei, and his brother, J.R. Tomei, was the drummer. And we, at the Savannah Center, we paid, we had a place there where we,
Tribute.
Yeah, we did a tribute to those guys. We played their pictures and all that because they passed. JR just died back in March, and we had his sister Kelly who flew down to the show, and it was
I saw you guys gave her some stuff there, and
yeah. And the most amazing thing about that is I'm very, very good friends with an internationally known sketch artist. His name's Mark Gibbons. We just love.
I saw those sketches on Facebook that you posted. Those are really good, man.
Scary. It's like a photograph. That's how well he draws. And he drew two sketches of Chris and JR together. And John called Kelly out and did a presentation. And Mark is he's an amazing sketch artist. He's done the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Eric Clapton. He just recently did Ozzy, and he does us. We were at sound check, and he drew a picture of one of the guys in the band. Boom, at that very sound check, and during sound check, everybody's like, "Hey, he just put up a picture," and we love him to death. After the show, backstage, we called Mark in England. He lives in Southampton, England, and Kelly, very emotional. We got him on the phone, and she was able to talk to him and thank him. And he is just the sweetest, kindest person there is. And that he would do that. That was just amazing. All right. So when Chris and JR came into the band, that's when the band, we just started having things happening. Sabotage, who was then really hot, Stranger, and all of those guys in the Outlaws, they were right out of Tampa. One of the guys that helped road manage Sabotage and did a lot of their production was a guy by the name of Gary Muchmore, who's also passed. Gary, heard the band and go, boy, this is unusual. You guys sound just like Skynyrd. And we told him the concept and all of that. And Gary was incredibly well known in Tampa Bay as well.
Continue. I'm gonna be right back.
Where are you going?
Potty break. Too much coffee this morning just to stay awake.
Right. And
that's okay, man.
And so Gary meets with us, and he said, I think I can help you guys. And we had no idea what we were doing, Griff. We had no clue. We were just playing the music. And
were you just playing like locally? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and we were making, good money back then was probably $300. We were making $500. And it caught on. And Gary said, I think I can help you. And so he said, okay, yeah, great. So we're thinking you can get us in more clubs. Some of the more like the Rocket Club there in Tampa, big stuff, big. And he said, yeah, okay. And the next thing I know, Gary's like, hey, there's a guy that wants to talk to you. And his name was Richard Lustig. Richard was a national booking agent, talent booking agent.
Was this like 1988, 89 or something?
Yeah, 89. Yeah. We're probably 89? In 89, 90. Yeah. Okay. And so I hope I got my dates right, but it was early. And so Richard Lustig calls. We didn't know what an agent was. And he was very nice, very kind. Still in touch with his widow, Cassetta Lustig. And so Richard says, this is who I am. And he believed in that concept. He said, I think this will sell. You guys going out to concert clubs and doing a 2-hour Lynyrd Skynyrd concert and all of that kind of stuff. I'm confident I can sell this. And literally, it seemed like overnight we were playing Orlando, we were playing Jacksonville, Miami, and then Georgia, and then Mobile, and we didn't know what hit us. The next thing that we're on a national tour across the United States, all the way into Canada. We played Vancouver, sold that out 6 nights in a row, came across Canada, and then back home. We didn't know what hit us. I mean, small things. We didn't know what to do with money. How do you pay your bills out there in where am I, Idaho? And, we had to learn all that stuff. And then we're out there on tour with people that we couldn't believe we were meeting. There's, in Cincinnati, we played there and I got to meet Steve Lukather. And what was really kind of rang my bell is Randall Hall sat in and played with us at that concert with Toto. And Steve Lukather says, after sound check, he goes, hey, you mind if I hang out with you guys? And so this concept was it was amazing. And the next thing I know is in between time, here's Second Helping and Toto going back and forth in the each other's trailers, hanging out. Big Second Helping Toto picture, and we can't find it. But so we were just starstruck with all these people. And over the years, these great people that we've met, and some not so much, but most of them very nice guys. And so that's how we got out. Now on the parts you had mentioned, what was really cool is when we started learning it was back in the old days where you had to put the lift the record up or stop the tape.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So we're doing all
right. There wasn't a computer where you could watch a tutorial and get all the
slow it down and all that. So we would learn the songs as best we could, and we would get in like anybody else. I remember I said when I was learning the part to which a lot of people still can't hear it. I was learning the part to Swamp Music, and I said, Ed, I can hear what you're doing, but I can't hear what you're playing. I hear it, and it sounds really cool. And
just can't hear how he's doing it.
Right, yeah. Right. And you know what that guy did? Sent me a tape of him and Leon and Artie. And I was able, this is years later, because I gave it to our bass player, and that was a funny story too.
So you don't have the tape anymore?
The video?
Yeah.
It was just a tape. It's probably up on. I know that some of the videos that Ed made, like at his house, when I would ask about. I asked him one time about. I think it was either whiskey or
rock and roll.
Yeah,
or poison whiskey.
No, whiskey, rock and roll, or I Need You, which John wants to do really bad. He made a tape, and you could hear him make a comment. There's a tribute band that wants to know how to play that. A lot of those things, they leaked out somehow. So he must have shared. I've never shared anything he sent me. So he must have sent it to other people, and that's how it got up there, those bootleg things of Ed. So what we did back in the day is, I can remember we would go up to JD, one of our guitar players. We'd go up to JD's bedroom because he had a fancy speakerphone, and we would call Ed, and let's say MCA, that the one part where he's going bum ba da da bum bum ba da, he plays in harmony to the main thing, and he would say, okay, it's this, it's that, or we would simply call him and say, is this right? Is this correct? And we did the same thing with Randall Hall later. Randall, was very gracious. The same thing, and he actually worked with our bass player.
Loves Cracker Barrel.
He does. And
I've only seen Randall at Cracker Barrel.
right.
Yeah, I'm a Cracker Barrel fan myself. Till I went to the last time I went to Cracker Barrel, I got a hair in my eggs, and now I'm kind of like down on Cracker Barrel. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll straighten you out. So Ed would work with us via telephone and say this or that, or we would call and just say, I'm playing this. Is that right? I'm hearing this chord. Is that right? And of course he would say, nope, yep, nope. And there's a point in our promotion video where I say, thank you, Lynyrd Skynyrd, for working with us, kicking us in the butt and patting us on the back at the same time, because Ed would say, no, or Randall would go, nope, it's just not quite there. And it make you go back and just, work on it. I know in the Randall Hall band, we had to learn a lot of Skynyrd stuff, and Randall was pretty particular about playing it right and all of that. So that was fun.
Ed came in handy too when you were bringing a new guitar player or something, and Ed would call while we were at rehearsal and listen.
Yeah.
and he'd tell you how to set your amp up or your guitar up. And then you really couldn't argue.
No.
Because it's Ed King telling you to turn your amp down and turn your guitar up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He was a big fan of turning the guitar up all the way, right? And then adjusting the amp to to the volume that way. I've heard him talk about that several times. Like when Marty Schwartz came to his house, and he's that tutorial guy. He told him the same thing. He told him that.
Yeah, he would tell us that at practice. Like he'd be on the phone. Chris was standing in the middle of the room, and he always had this saying at the end of whatever he was telling us. He's like, turn your amps down, turn your guitars up, and play it right.
Yeah, play it right. And so they worked a lot about that. Now, so getting to the other one, in '88 they go out and tour, and so I asked Ed, it's like, look, we're putting this thing at '88, '89. They were out touring, and so we're working on this. He knew that. Can we go to your Florida shows? Can we get some tickets and stuff and passes so we can have access? Because that's a lot better. You guys are right there. We can ask you the questions. That's sure. And that dude set us up with, the bass player and I went to every show because he was really studying Leon. And what we would do is we would get, Ed always had us pretty close to up front, which is the worst place to listen to a show. The best place was back
the mixing board, right?
Yeah. And so eventually we stopped doing that, but we would go up front just to watch where they were at on the board and the chords they were playing and that kind of stuff. And so what was really cool is Hefty would watch Leon, and he wasn't 5-10 feet away from watching perform it and all of that. And so here's what is really, really cool. After the show, we would go back and we were able to talk with them. And I would always see Hefty over there talking to Leon, and you could see him doing what guitar players do, that kind of stuff. You're playing this like that. And that's where Hefty learned, Leon confirmed or pointed out, well, I'm actually doing this, I'm actually doing that, I'm going here, I'm going that, and all of that. And Ed would do the same thing. But by this time, I'd pretty much had the Ed stuff pretty accurate. I mean, he didn't call me out on stuff. I know that there's some places that were really tough. I remember one of the last times I ever asked him, I did a deep dive on Curtis Lowe, and one lick in there, it just, and I had enough. This is 10, 15 years ago. I had enough. It's like, all right, I'm gonna ask Ed. I was concerned he was going to say, man, how many times do I got to go over this with you? But he never did. And it was in Curtis Low. And I'll show you how that is, because I've seen a lot of tribute bands and whatnot play it and get close to the lick, and it kind of sounds like the lick. There's a Skynyrd tribute band out there by the name of Gimme Back My Skynyrd. Gimme Back My Skynyrd. It's got Kevin, our good friend Kevin Steele, and Spencer and those guys in there. They're amazing guitar players, and they're a 6-piece Skynyrd band.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, neither have I. Yeah.
They're brand new. So Spencer gets really close. And so I asked Ed, and I'll play the lick, and then I'll tell you what I said to him. Hang on. So I have this very little slide. I usually play a full slide. So if I mix up, you guitar players out there, give me a break. All right. So this is an acoustic. So the lick I'm talking about is, he said, what you do is you go to, make sure I got it there. Was that a guitar?
It was.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
He said you go to.
Was that the headstock crumbling?
Yeah.
It didn't fall completely. I was trying to get out of the way of this guitar neck that he just put in front of my face.
So what it is, if I can play it at this angle, is you have harmonics on the guitar right here at the 5th and at the 7th, 12th, and then up. So I know this. Okay. And Ed says, all right, Chris, here's how you play the lick. You go to the 14th fret, and here's the 14th fret. Well, here's the 12th. Here's the harmonics. Listen to the 14th. There's no harmonics.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. He said, you hit the 14th fret like you would a harmonic. I'm like, what? And then he said, then you do you do an open D chord. So when I do the lick, you'll be able to hear it. So he said, here's what you do is you go there, you hit the harmonic, and then you play the lick, and then you slide into the song. So what it sounds like is this. You hear that?
Yeah.
You got the slide right on top of it, and when you play the record, you'll be able to hear it. So what the lick is this. Well, I messed it up. So it's. It's hard to play this slow. So when you play that lick, I'll play it slow. So those guitar players can see it. All right. And then slide into the song. Then you finish it, but that's the lick. It's just hit that 14th fret. It's in the very right near the beginning of the song. You hit that 14th fret like you would a harmonic, and then he slides to. You finish it, but that's the lick. Just and so I got really stumbled on that, and.
Well, you're having to jump from that 14th fret all the way back down,
all the way down, yeah, to an open chord, yeah. And so he told me that it went like this. He goes, "All right, Chris, you hit the 14th fret, and then you go up to the 2nd fret, and it's an open G down, onto the 2nd fret, and you play exactly how this string's open and that string's open. Then you slide up, and so I was stuck on the 14th fret harmonic. And I'm like, I can't believe I did this. So he said, you hit the harmonic on the 14th, you do this. I'm going, that ain't right.
Told Ed that won't right.
Telling Ed something wasn't right.
I did, man. It just came out of my mouth because like I showed you a few minutes ago, you have I know harmonics on the 5th, 7th, 12th fret, the 14th. And as you heard, it does have a sound. It has a sound when you hit that. And with an electric guitar, it's more pronounced. But that's the first time I said, that ain't right. And then I went, oh, good grief. I can't believe I just said that. And
Well, it's
you know,
basically whatever the creator came up with is the Bible to what that song is. You know, I mean, it's
right. And here I am. And,
they're
you know,
the
it's like,
author.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Ed. I know you wrote this, but that's wrong.
That's wrong. That's not what you did. That's like, oh, good grief.
I just don't hear it, Ed.
But Ed would do stuff like that. Another thing that happened is those, I cannot, you know, tell you how much those guys were super duper kind. Not only them, the crew, the guy, every time we were there at the show, they were over the top nice to us. And, you know, they were just, I love being around them. A couple of things that I was amazed at. I'm 6'1", and so when I met these guys, one of the things that kind of took me aback is they're kind of short.
Yeah, Alan was actually normal height, you know.
Yeah,
everybody thought he was like 6'8" or something, you know, but he was basically, the rest of them were just really short. So
yeah, I think Ed was 5'7", and Gary and those guys, they were in the fight with Leon, and I can't remember Artie, you know, how tall Artie was, but
well, he would sit down all the time. So.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I was around him. I remember when I first met Artie, that it was ooh-wee. You know, it was that guy's got stories, and he was living in Israel at the time, over in Jerusalem. And so anyway, they were just super duper kind to us. And speaking of Artie, one of the things that we have a policy of is Artie's out there, and so we're out there. Anytime we speak to a venue and they say, okay, how much do you charge and all that? Because we're having, you know, we have Artie, or we've had Artie and all of that. Second helping, always 100% of the time, it's like, nope, done. We will not play a venue that Artie's played at or is going to play at, because here's why. That's the last original Lynyrd Skynyrd guy that the Lynyrd Skynyrd fans, can go and watch. He is it. You come see us later. If you have the opportunity to go see Artimus Pile Band, you need to go over there and see him play. And that band is absolutely awesome. We love them. We wish, you know, Artie the best, you know, and his band. Scott Rains, oh, what a guitar player. And, you know, they got Bo Bice now, and Barry is with them.
Yeah, I got Barry
and
Lee.
they've got quite the thing. So we really want Skynyrd fans, if you can go see Artimus Pile Band, go get you some Artie, because you know, Artimus is hopefully going to be doing this for 10, 15, 20 more years, but none of us know. And you know, we encourage, go. You won't regret it. Go see him. He's personable. He comes out. He talks with people. Very nice, very kind guy. So we encourage that.
Did you ever have a conversation with Ed? Because I've always heard, and I think I even asked Sharon about it, and I can't remember what she told me, that Ed wasn't a big fan of MCA for some reason. He didn't, I mean, the song. He didn't, you know, for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's because that riff that's in there is so complicated, you know, and in trying to remember your own riff, you know, it might be even challenging, you know. But did he ever talk to you about that MCA riff?
I know that Tom, our current our guitar player, plays a lot of the Ed stuff, and Tom's a guitar savant, as is our guitar tech, Dave Nichols. A lot of people, we've said, okay, you three guys, which one's the best? And we say the guitar tech, Dave Nichols. We're serious. He knows, our guitar tech knows every guitar part. My lead, slide lead, James's leads, Tom's leads.
It's kind of like,
and the bass.
I'll probably get in trouble for saying this.
Well, be careful.
It's kind of like what they said about Ringo. It's like, he's not even the best drummer in the Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
I have heard that.
And Dave has played at, he's played at the Grand Ole Opry, just this insane guitar player. And he does come out in the show and plays. He plays on Tuesday's Gone and Curtis Lowe. But Dave is such an amazing guitar player. And they both know that Ed King lead. And they both say it's a bear. It's an absolute.
Oh,
bear.
if you miss anything, it stands out. And then he flips the switch, the pickups in the middle of that.
Yeah, he does.
He
does.
flips that,
For
and
the
it's
back
got a
pickup.
complete different sound.
Yeah.
And
Another song that was like that for me was I Know a Little. I used to play the intro to I Know a Little when I was a guitar player with the band. And I never was more happier when I never had to play that again.
yeah, it's
not because I don't love it. It's just one I could never. I got my fingers just don't work like that. I don't know.
That's a definite mind memory, hand memory thing.
Yeah.
Diddle-did-it at the beginning. It's like if you don't get that right, I guess if
Well,
you
that
did
wasn't
it
the problem
enough.
for me. But when it goes into it a little bit, it's like that part. This is ultimate guitar talk.
Well, the
funny, it's
well the conversation on MCA. No, Ed never said, "Gosh, I hate that song." I now as soon as I leave here, I might remember a conversation. I don't ever remember him. I remember him saying they got aggravated with Al Cooper. On the swamp music thing, when I said, "How are you playing that rhythm?" and during your lead, and he sent me that thing. I was like, "Oh gosh, okay, I hear what you're doing there." I said, "You needed to turn that up." He goes, "That was that Al Cooper did that." He said you had to struggle to hear it, but it's one of those things. It's art. It's absolute art. You hear it, but you don't hear it. But you hear it. It's right there, but you can't hear it. In other words, you can't.
Yeah.
How do I learn something I can't hear? And all of that. He was really good about that stuff. Randall Hall, the same thing. Randall, who's still out there. I talked to Randall this morning. He's in Colorado Springs doing a show with former lead singer of Kansas, John Elefante. Great guy. John's great, super nice guy. And Kevin Shelfon, who sang with Journey and Alan Parsons Project. And he's out there. He's getting ready. He's probably doing it right now. He's getting ready to do an interview at a radio station there. So, but Randall's doing great.
So how's Randall? I know he was having problems with his neck and he had like some nerve issues in his hand because of the neck thing. Is he doing better with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a quite a bit of private stuff there, but yeah, he's doing. I mean, I love the guy. He's a very dear friend. My wife and I both just love.
I mean, you hear a lot of like people like Eric Clapton. He's got some kind of a nerve issue thing.
Yeah.
Peter Frampton's got the same thing going on. It's like.
Well, that's actually why I'm the singer now.
Yeah.
I had disc degeneration in my neck, and I couldn't even write my own name, much less chord guitar or play lead. So I had to stop playing guitar. And I think it was about 5 or 6 months later, they came and said, "Do you want to sing?" But I had a spinal cord issue where my vertebrae were kind of pressing on my spinal cord. And I was a veteran, so I was going through the VA to get it worked on, which is sometimes can be a little bit tough.
Yeah, the VA. Yeah, they don't like
surgery.
to use anesthesia in the VA. They just
just a hammer to the head. They wanted to do surgery on my neck and fuse my C4, C5, and C6 vertebrae together and put Teflon in between it. And I said, okay, what does that entail? And they said, well, we're going to cut the front of your throat open and go through your vocal cords and fuse the spine together.
Easier access through the front.
Right. But they said it could change your voice. Now, I'm a singer as well. I don't want to change my voice. So I denied the surgery and decided not to have the surgery. But then my hands just continued to get worse and worse and worse. And I could not play anymore. But I've since had to have the surgery and I can play now. I just don't have the stamina that I used to with I could play a 2-hour show. Now I can't. But
Well, when was it that you came into the band then, John?
2008 was when I first came
2008?
into the band. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chris was actually taking a leave from the band at the time. So I was actually coming in to fill in Chris's spot. Is that correct? Or, yeah, Chris had stepped away for a while, and they had a guy named Tojo and a guy named oh my goodness, I can't remember his name, but he passed away. So they brought me in, and I played guitar for about 5 years.
Did you get to hang out with any of the tribute band guys, the Skynyrd, the actual Skynyrd guys, like Chris, you know?
Not until Chris came back into the band. Because I didn't have that connection, you know, like Chris did.
I think a lot of you guys hooked up with Ed. You know?
Well, yeah, I spoke with Ed a lot. I never actually met him in person. You know, we talk on video chat or on Facebook or things like that. But I did not get the opportunity to meet Ed in person. But when Chris came back to the band, he brought those contacts back with him, and that was very helpful for us to get back on track as far as getting the new players up to speed. Because, you know, a band that's been around as long as we have, you just eventually are going to have to go through some players because people's lives change, their availability changes.
Every band that I know of, it's all, you know, it's always. Yeah. What did Gary? Okay, at the beginning, Gary was kind of cracking on you. Later on, what did he have to say about, you know, the success of you guys later on? Did he comment on it?
I've never heard him comment on Second Helping. When I was around him, again, we would go out and see him quite a few times, and there were a few times like Tampa. We took the whole Ed had the whole Second Helping band go there, and we hung out with him. With Gary. Pretty much, hey, how you doing? Hello, just, you know, cursory. How you doing? Never any contention or anything like that. Just hello, how are you? Good. How are you? Fine.
Well, at first, when he said that back on Jacobs Avenue, you know, he was probably just looking for that one-liner. You know, he didn't realize it. He didn't realize it was going to impact you that way, you know.
Yeah, Gary Rossington's the reason this band got started, out of spite.
Well, see, there you go, though. You know, what was meant as a little dig turned into a lifelong career and a thing. So.
Yeah, it's amazing to sit here 37 years later. I mean, what musician out there forms a band and it stays alive for 37 years? I mean, we've seen it all. We get a lot of us, buddies of ours, Tuesday's gone. They don't exist anymore.
You're talking about with Ryan King?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How's Ryan doing? He just
Ryan's
texted me the other day. You know, I know he's got that iron issue with his blood. Is he doing better?
Right. I mean, it's, you know, I don't know how much I can say, but yeah, he's doing well. He's lost a lot of weight. Ryan is, he's doing, you know, every now and then he'll text me, listen to this song, man, listen to this song. Man, that guy, he writes great original music. So, Ryan, I hope I'm not spoiling anything here. If I am, I'll let you buy me a meal. Yeah, here we go. And Griff, don't edit this out. Okay.
I do all the editing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't do it. Don't leave it in. I don't mind if he calls and screams at me because I really believe in what I'm getting ready to say. His original music is downright amazing. It is really good stuff. This guy here, his original stuff, same thing. It's like, what in the world? What's that song that we worked on that you wrote that I really, really, really like it? There was one the band was working on.
95 and 10 or Outbound Train.
Outbound Train. Good Lord.
That was me and James.
Yeah, that could be a hit. So anyway, Ryan writes stuff like that. And so Tuesday's Gone was on its way to, other challenges and things and all that. And that's for Ryan to speak to that. And Ryan and I, Ryan was the lead singer in the Randall Hall band with us. I met Ryan.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
wow, I didn't know that. Yeah,
1998 is when I met him. He was a kid. He was like 17. And so I knew who he was, and we stayed in touch and blah, blah, blah. And he formed his own tribute band. And the way that turned out was I had known Randall a lot, and I don't know how the conversation come up. I said, Randall, why don't you resurrect the Randall Hall band? I said, I got players that can probably pull that off. There are a bunch of Skynyrd players, tribute guys. And he said, okay. So we had me and Rick King from Second Helping, Jason Patterson. Jason was with, what's
Jason's
the name
awesome.
of that band? Listen, that's great. Hopefully Jason's not listening.
Are you talking about the metal band?
No, they had a hit record out. He was their drummer.
Oh, Nantucket?
Peace Pipe. Who does that song? Peace Pipe. That's them. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Cry of Love. The band Cry of Love.
I've
He was
heard
their
that.
drummer.
I've heard, yeah.
Yep. He was. Now everybody go and pull up Peace Pipe by Cry of Love, and you'll hear it's a great song, and you'll see Jason in there. And so we had him on drums. We had a guy by the name of Clark on drums. On piano, and it was me and Randall on guitar, and this guy that Randall always called the Kid. His name's Justin Womble, very well-known guitar player in North Carolina. And Justin is a metal player that loves Lynyrd Skynyrd. And so we said, look, Randall is putting the band together. Randall came up. We put the band together. We went in rehearsal. Randall gave us the songs, learned this, and we learned some songs off of the original Randall Hall Band album, which had Derek Hess, Randall. It also had Tim Lindsay, my very favorite Southern rock bass player. He's with Hatchet now. And so we copied that stuff, and we played a lot of the stuff from 91 and The Last Rebel. We did some really good, fun Skynyrd stuff. It's fun until you get to the Ed parts. Guess who got those parts?
So you were doing that and Second Helping too at the same time?
Yeah. We were trying to put Randall Hall Band 2 back together. And so when we were looking for a singer, our Second Helping singer really couldn't do it. He didn't have the time. So I asked Ryan, who's got a great voice. Ryan came in. That's how Ryan was in the Randall Hall Band, and those two are still friends to this day. So where Ryan is now is I've with very little influence I have, I would say, dude, it looks like Tuesday's Gone is kind of going in this direction. You need to once and for all, while you're young, form the Ryan King Band and do it. Push that thing out in Raleigh and North Carolina, and I think that's where Ryan is. He could speak to that better than I can. But I believe that's what he's doing. I know he's writing songs. He sent me about 4, and they're amazing. So he's coming up with Ryan King.
Does Ryan play guitar at all?
Like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he plays piano, guitar, drums, like this guy. He plays everything too. Everything. All of it. So that's what he's doing, and that's how
that's what I was telling Craig earlier. He saw the violin on the wall back there.
You play violin?
Well, no, I never got the hang of the bow.
Oh,
but the chords on the violin are the same as they are on a mandolin, so you can kind of pluck a violin and play.
Yeah, Craig has about probably 100 ukuleles down in his basement. And,
No,
he was wondering if they were
50.
if they were the same, and I guess John said you tune them differently.
They are the same as far as the way the chords are structured, but the tuning is different on a ukulele than it is on a mandolin.
Yeah. So now, as far as where you guys are at now, how many shows do you normally play? Aren't you kind of like playing more shows this year than you normally play? Because
feel
your
like
wife, John, was telling me you play more this year than you've played in a long time.
we have just been very, very blessed. Since COVID, it has picked up and continued to just kind of steamroll. Um, um, I remember our first show back after COVID. We played Princeton, West Virginia. Was that it? Yeah. They had an outside stage, and we were their first show after COVID, so everybody just got off of lockdown. There was 12,000 people out there.
Oh no, that was Charleston.
That was Charleston, West Virginia.
Good.
They were dying to get out. They were dying to get out of the house.
And remember,
starving for it.
Remember Corey, our drummer Corey.
That was his first show.
Yeah, he comes from a bar to 12,000 people.
Yeah.
He's like, oh. He's like, well, we told you.
But I really, I think the turning point for us was most of us are now in a position where we don't have to have full-time jobs, and we are able to book more. And when Chris retired, he took on a lot of the booking, and James books for us as well. And we got some booking agents that do that as well. So we've just been able to book a lot more, and we've just been at least we did 25 shows so far this year. So it's been.
Do you guys have a website that shows your schedule, your tour dates? And
we do. It's second-helping.com. And it's got a page up there that shows the upcoming shows. I don't think it shows you after the show has happened. I think it comes off.
It does.
It does?
Yeah, you have to click previous shows.
Oh, there you go. But yeah, it's got all of our schedule up there, and the biggest trouble is we continue to add stuff, so we have to continue to update it.
what would be like one of your most memorable, like the funnest show you ever did, or something that sticks in your mind as far as like, man, I really loved that show? Anything come to mind?
Man, they're all so much fun once you get over the headaches. There's always a headache with a show. There's always going to be. It's live music in front of a live people and live sound. So there's always headaches. But our band has always been really good about putting all of the headaches aside and just having fun on stage. That first show back that I was telling you about with the 12,000 people in Charleston, West Virginia, that had to be one of my favorites, one of my tops, because the crowd was so just amped to be outside, after being locked down for 2 years of COVID. And that was a really great time, really great show. We also did a show in Orange at the Orange Blossom Opry. That was really fun for me because we got to meet Bobby from Confederate Railroad.
Sawyer Brown.
And Sawyer Brown.
Oh, cool.
I think he was in both, yeah.
I know he was with Sawyer Brown.
Yeah, I know he was just. I think he was in Confederate Railroad too.
Guitar player.
Yeah, and he joined us on stage and played fiddle, which
Call Me the Breeze.
On Call Me the Breeze. You wouldn't expect it, but it worked.
Oh yeah,
that was amazing. And he was a really nice guy, and that was a fun thing for me because he has his own little room at the theater, and he had a 1939 Martin guitar that he was just showing us his stuff. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that one.
I know for me, it's a lot of shows. I'll answer it this way. Some stick out shows, and I'm going to tell a Ricky Medlock story here, man. I can tell a few of them that I love. Don't let me forget Ricky Medlock, Allman Brothers. There was, we were playing in Tampa at the Rocket Club, which was a concert club, big stage, all of that. We opened up for Blackfoot. And so we're playing and all of this kind of stuff. Before the show, in the backstage area, they had a common area. And so one of the things that I just did not want to do was in front of everybody, you sign this album, because it's just, I don't know, musician asking another musician. I felt weird about it. And I was trying to be real sneaky. I took the Strikes album and I hid it under a pillow on the couch and all of that. And so I walked up, and this happened to me in front of about 30 people, and with my loud, big voice. I'm standing there, and so I walked up and said, you know, man, I am a huge fan of Blackfoot. I love your voice. You've got one of the most outstanding, strong, penetrating voices in Southern rock. I absolutely love this song, that song. I mean, you are great. I love listening to it. You're a great guitar player. I enjoy, one of my favorite songs at that time was new. It was called Soldier Blue. It's like, love learning that drop D, and it just sounds good. I'm going on and on and on. And so I pull out the album after all of that, and it's one of those moments. Have you ever done this where you say something and everybody in the room just shuts up and all you hear is you? That happened to me. And so I looked right at him and I said, if you would, Ricky, would you please sign this for me? I would be really appreciative if you would sign it. And the guy just stared at me. And then I hear this voice over here that said, I'm over here, man.
Who are you talking to?
I was talking to the guitar player. I was talking to the other guitar player. And at that point, it was like, all right. Yeah. I mean, I laughed with everybody else. Ricky cracked up. He graciously signed it and all that. So I remember that.
I've never heard that story.
Oh, yeah. And so at that show, that was before the show. And at that show, we're playing after I'd already embarrassed myself, but he was very gracious. There he's old Ricky. He was very gracious, very kind about that, and laughed and put his arm around me and all of that stuff. And he goes, we just laughed about it. And so, when you're doing a good job is we're playing up there, and Hefty, I mentioned Hefty earlier, he was on my side of the stage, and we had our back line, and our guitar techs and stuff could walk in behind it if they had to. And we did it that way. And so then I have a freak out moment. I did great. I didn't make any mistakes or not that time, and played well and all of that. Dave said, hey man, look back there behind your amp. So I turn around and look while we're playing. Ricky Medlock. He's on my. I had played a half stack, and he's like this on my amp.
Oh wow!
Watching the show, and you see this grin. It's like, oh man! I mean, you talk about a Kodak moment. So I mean, those shows. Stand out. Another one of my very favorite shows is we played the Toy Tiger in Louisville, Kentucky. And this is where the Van Zants came in, and Gene came in. This was in early 90s. Had to be 92, I think, maybe 93. We were on tour. That's when we did the whole tour. And we took Gene and Lacey, love him to death. Gene and Lacey came with us, and so they came. And what they did is they took Ronnie's truck, his gray '55 Chevy, and so we go there, and all the Skynyrd fans could go out and look at Ronnie's truck and all of that kind of stuff. And I got some great Lacey stories too. And so one of those moments where, and I do have pictures of that. One of those moments, where you're playing, and you're up there playing this stuff, and you look over to the side of the stage, and the side fills, there stands Papa V. That's pretty memorable as a tribute band. You're seeing that, and he's at your show, and you're killing me. What's he doing?
Craig is moving around like
when Craig disappears, it's for a reason. You were talking about, when you say something and you're the only one that in the room and the only one they're listening to. But when Craig ran into John Lennon, he didn't know what to say, so he goes, "Do you know who you are?"
Yeah.
What? And what did he say to you, Craig?
He just kind of laughed. Yeah, I'm coming around the corner, and here he came in there with what's her name?
Yoko.
May Ping.
May Ping.
May Pang.
All right.
Ping Pang, yeah.
Yeah,
May
man.
Pang.
I just looked up. I said,
That was his lost
"You know who
weekend.
you are."
Craig was part of John Lennon's Lost Weekend, actually,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was part of that.
Yeah, I'm
And-
another Forrest Gump. Yeah.
And John bought him lunch and everything.
Oh my gosh! Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, he went to Ringo Starr's house. He don't remember it, but he was there.
Well, yeah, I
I
had
kind of
another.
remember.
Yeah, I had another one of those moments. I think I told you about that, Griff, in Savannah Center, which commercial break here. The autographing thing. So how that happens is people were at our merch table. They're Second Helping and Gene are there, and people sign this, sign that kind of thing. And so I thought, I looked over to my left, and it's like, aren't you Griff? Yes, I am. It's like, yeah, I've seen your podcast and all that. And so these big Skynyrd fans are like, can you sign Gene's book? And I said, sure. But I said, I'll tell you an autograph you need to get. I said, have you ever heard of the Stone Roadie podcast? No. What is that? I said, it's literally one of the guys that was in the crew from the beginning throughout all the way into the tribute tour. And he does this all things Skynyrd podcast. He goes, really? He goes, man, I want to listen to that. I said, well, you ought to do it. I said, but I tell you what's really, really cool is the guy that does it is standing right there. And if you remember, Griff, they were like,
Yeah.
deer in the headlight, like, really? Wow. And I said, yeah, you ought to get that autograph because that one's probably kind of hard to get.
Yeah, and
so
then
there's
Chris got off the hook. He didn't have to sign anything then. He just kind of bumped them all off to me.
So we're sitting there, they're just passing these books all of a sudden, sign it, sign it, sign it, sign it. And, I snuck mine in there, brother. But so one of those other funny things in Huntington, West Virginia, me and one of our singers, by the way, just to let you know how long we've been doing this, John, we have several singers. John's our fifth Ronnie, our fifth singer.
Fifth and last. Does anybody ever take your place for when you're on vacation there, John, or
Ryan?
Me and Ryan have a deal worked out. Like Ryan
Yeah.
King.
Okay.
I've covered for him a few times with Tuesday's Gone.
That's
He's
good.
filled in for me here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. We swap players when we have to.
Yeah,
There's
so go ahead and finish. Sorry, Chris.
yeah, no, that's okay.
Ryan,
There was
I don't know if we mentioned Ryan had a serious health problem here a while
Yeah,
back.
his liver.
Yeah.
Iron in his blood and all of that. That brother's lost 150 pounds, man.
Yeah, I noticed he's lost a lot of weight. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in Huntington, West Virginia with our singer, Bob Long. And it's like this. You're live. Okay. In this, there's no delay. And sometimes when you do interview or TV, that brings up another one. A TV interview we did. Good gosh. But so I'm thinking of the TV. So we're there, and Craig, you remember Ed's sense of humor. He had very dry.
Oh yeah.
But it was hilarious. And Randall Hall's another one, the man of 1,000 voices, absolutely hilarious. And so anyway, we're on the radio, and the disc jockey, this is a big 100,000 watt radio station. It went over like 3 states, and they had really put a lot into it. We're having, Second Helping, and we're going to have Ed King do a radio interview with Second Helping. And Ed did that quite a bit, quite often. He would come in and do it with us and stuff like that, and say, hey, everybody go listen to Second Helping. They're out there, they're doing this, they're doing that. He would encourage people and endorsed us to, go listen, get you some Skynyrd. And so all 3 of us are on the phone. Bob and I are in the studio, and Ed's on the phone, rather. I'm sorry. And they said, okay, guys, look, there's no, let's bring it up another one. There's no delay. There's no delay. So whatever you say is truly live. Gotcha, man. Gotcha. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point to you. And when I do, you go ahead and introduce, you tell a little bit about yourself. And so here we go. Everybody's, are you guys ready? We got 5 seconds and all that kind of stuff. He said, yeah, we're ready. Everybody's, and so the guy comes on and, hey, everybody, here we go, and does this DJ thing and says, I want to introduce you, band. Matter of fact, I want to have the band introduce themselves. He points to Bob Long, and Bob goes, hey, I'm Bob Long. Tells what it is. And brother, I mean, like that. I can't make my finger like that. Without delay, he points at me and I go, hi, I'm Ed King. And just cracked up. Everybody's laughing. It gets calmed down. I don't know. I was nervous being on the radio. I don't know why I said that. I go, hi, I'm Ed King. And as soon as the laughter started, you could hear this voice in the back go, so am I.
Yeah.
That was great, man. That was hilarious. Another one, and then I'll hush. This was in Texas. Brownsville, Texas.
Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
God, this was true.
You can believe the story, but the fact that he's going to hush, don't believe that.
This was hilarious. This was hilarious, man. We were doing a interview. We sold out 2 nights in a row, and so they were doing this interview, and same thing. They told us. There's no delay. Whatever you say, whatnot. Of course, our managers,
Excuse me.
look, you guys don't be idiots. Be aware. Don't say anything. And they're like, don't cuss, don't swear, none of that, and all that. And so Fred, that was our singer at the time. Fred and I are like, oh, okay, it's no problem. And Gary always wanted me and Fred to do the interviews, and that was it. And matter of fact, we've always done that. It's always John and I, or just John, and the singer and me, because I was the founder, and we would get into some of the history of the band and all that. So we got it. Well, Gary, we had one band member that always wanted to do the interview. He wanted to be in there. Gary would come up with everything. Well, we have this, we have that. We can't do it. Well, we only want Fred and Chris doing it. Well, this, well, that. He always became whatever it took to sway this band member, from being on air, because this guy had no filter, brother. And so there we are in this big auditorium, and everybody's out about town. Well, this guy came in a little bit before we were doing the interview. The band member did. Guess what he sees out in the parking lot? The van with that great big antenna going up. And we were there and talking.
Radio van.
Yeah, but we were indoors and we were doing it, and somehow, some way, he found the room where we were. He walks in, and we just say, "Hey," we called him out by name. "How you doing?" And he says, "What's going on?" Because he could see headphones like this and all of that. "Y'all doing an interview?" Oh, then that DJ made the worst mistake. He said, "Yeah, are you in the band?" And he goes, "Yeah, I play this instrument." And Fred and I are going, "Oh, good God." And he said, "Why don't you be a part of it?" And what are we going to do? No, and then explain why. And so we're like, and he explains this, there's no stopping, there's no delay. What you say goes out. And so the format was, people would call in, and we could hear him, and we could talk. It was a glorified speakerphone. The first call, and here's this guy. It's his first radio interview, 100 watts. It went all over Texas, everything else. And the person calls in, and they ask an innocent question. Do you guys, or did you guys know any of the Lynyrd Skynyrd guys? We couldn't beat him to the punch. First thing out of his mouth, no filter. F&A, man, we know those F&, guys, and just all of this and all of that. And we're like, oh no! And you see the DJs going like that. We're doing that. But the funny thing is, they kept rolling, and you hear coming down the hall, thump, thump, boom, boom. It was our manager yelling at the top of his lungs, what in the world? Good. And just cussing it, opens up the door, runs in there, and they get into it right there in the middle of the end. What's wrong with you? Now you know why. They're just going at it and going at it. And at that time, Fred and I are losing our mind. We're laughing, can hardly talk. That was all done live on air. That happened. One of the other members, we were doing a TV thing. And this is where we learned about the cameras being green light and red light. We're there, and they said, "Okay, we're going to take a minute." And when it comes on, when the light's green, you're on. And so the guy is talking to me. I see the camera go green, and he's like, "Okay, well, we're going to get going here in a minute." Well, the other guy in our band, not going to mention his name, he thought we were just still on break. Dude reaches up to his nose and digs for gold live on TV. Oh man, that was absolutely great. And there was another one, Entertainment Tonight, same place. They gosh, there was something funny with them too. That went on with them. I can't remember what it was. I'll probably remember when it's too late. I was backstage, so we've got stories, man.
You guys have been around so long. I remember when I was sitting in the audience there in the Villages, and then you guys were talking to that lady, brought that lady up, and giving her
Kelly
that stuff, and you were playing some video which I didn't get to see, and then John goes, "You got black hair. I never remembered you had black hair."
He's never had black hair since I've known him.
Yeah, and then you saw him with black hair.
I was taken aback live on stage. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you look like an Oak Ridge boy or something."
Yeah, and then Chris says, "What can I say? I'm old."
Yeah, we have and that's one of the things that they have is they do have the video of Johnny, which you've seen. I don't know if you're going to be able to put it up. Right?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get that downloaded. Yeah,
what a super nice guy. I mean, those Van Zants have always been super, super, super kind.
We were talking about playing, big shows and things. One of the questions I asked Leslie Hawkins when I was at her house, I said, what was that, just scary as hell at Nebworth or what? That huge crowd. I don't know, Craig, was that the biggest crowd you guys ever played? Or
there in Sedalia, Missouri, they were both close to 500,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and Leslie said those big venues with the big crowds like that, she said they were the easiest because you could mess up and nobody would know it. Now, when you're sitting in a little venue and it's a really, small venue and you could hear a pin drop, and that's when you got to be careful because then they can pick out anything you do wrong, But the big venues, you'd think they would be more scary, but they're actually...
The big venues have always been easier for me too. And I think it's got more to do with the fact that the crowd is more willing to get into it with you as far as the music, and they just let go of their inhibitions and have a good time. In my opinion, there should be no theaters with seats. They should make them all stand. Because when you play a show that's got seats, they sit there like this for the first half of the show until you break them in, and then they're up and they're having a good time. But you got to work to get them to move,
Is there any one song that you can say that you think is the most popular song of all the songs that you sing with fans of Skynyrd? And is it Freebird? Is it?
Now, hold on. What's the question? What's the? Are you asking if there's a song that gets them moving better, or is there?
Like the crowd becomes more interactive or something.
Grease in the Fire, man.
Yeah, I would say, and we typically do two sets, and in our first set it would be Saturday Night Special. If they haven't moved before then, they will when we get to that song, and then in the second set, probably
Three Steps Forward.
Call Me the Breeze. Those are very, very popular for getting people up and moving around.
Ask John what deep cut he does.
Oh, we just added that this year. So
So are you talking
got
about
a-
like a not too familiar, a not
Oh.
too familiar song? Yeah, my chair just dropped. A
It
not
just
too
dropped.
familiar song that most people haven't heard, you know?
Unless you're a Skynyrd fan.
True Skynyrd fans know it.
Yeah.
And someone has Jamie Johnson made a cover of this song, so it's a lot more popular than it was originally. It's always been popular with me, but it's funny. It depends on what part of the country you're in. Also, like what got played on the radio when you were a kid in Oklahoma may not be what was played on the radio when I was in North Carolina. But we started doing Four Walls of Rayford. I got a electric resonator, and I play that slide part and sing Four Walls of Rayford, and it has gone over really well. It's a nice point in the show where I really started doing it because I could let the guys go take a pee break while I played it, because it's just one guitar and a singer, and they can go off stage without us actually having to take a break. But it's gone over really well, and it kind of puts them in the mood of really remembering, really embracing the tribute aspect of what we're doing. And then once you get them into that mode, then they will follow you just about anywhere you go with it. But that song is, I got this thing I like to say. We're going to play a couple of slow songs. I call it belly rubbing music. You find somebody you like and rub your bellies together. Slow dancing. Tuesday's Gone and Curtis Lowe are good for that.
Do you guys
And then
play any original songs at all? Like,
Second Helping did an album back in 93, 94, and we shopped it, and Giant Records was very interested in picking us up because we sounded like Skynyrd, and then Giant Records went out of business. So we did have some original. John writes a lot. I know we've kicked that around, and
we've talked about doing it. I don't know that we would do it at a Second Helping show, because to me, it's more about paying tribute to Skynyrd than it is about us trying to put our music out there. I would love to do it as a side project or something like that. But, when we're on stage as Second Helping, we're there to memorialize and pay tribute to Skynyrd. And
right. So you guys don't really feel a need for your own, if you were like, had your own band name or whatever, and you're trying to break into that, I can see it. But if it's a cool tune,
If you had just released an album, you might, or a record, you might do that. Go, hey, we got a new record out. We do something else.
Yeah, it would be good.
Unless you just
advertisement for
released
that.
a record, that would, in my opinion.
There's a lot of talent, and I've heard the songs that John's written, and I've written some. James has written some. They're great songs. It's just, I'm with him. I would love to do that. I don't want to forget about one of the things that I had mentioned back in the early days when we started doing what we do. We had the Tomei brothers, which that's who we did a thing with them. The Tomei brothers. Very well known in Florida, and so this is when we started seeing some of our heroes come around the band. They knew Chris, the lead singer, and JR, the drummer. They're brothers, and they were in our band. They were very good friends with the Allman Brothers, and would regularly hang out with Greg and Dickie and Danny Toller, their guitar player, down in Sarasota a lot. And I have a couple fun stories. One is it was amazing. It's like you look at it and go, really? So we're up there playing, and every time we played slide, this kid would walk up, and it's a toe-headed kid, blonde kid.
Oh, I know.
About maybe 13, 14, I don't know, maybe around that age. And I mean, he would walk right up to the stage and just stare and watch you play slide. And if Brian on the other side of the stage played slide, he usually did in Mr. Banker, which John is working on, by the way. So you Skynyrd fans, he's going to add that to his deep cut. Four Walls of Raper. He did a little bit of it. He recorded it, sent it to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's got to go in. But anyway, so this kid would go over and he'd watch Brian when he played slide, and then he would watch me play slide. And so we saw this maybe 2 or 3 shows. And so I don't know who I asked. I said, who's the kid? And how's he getting in this nightclub? You know, who's the kid to come up here? Derek Trucks.
Oh yeah, that's how.
What in the world? It was Derek Trucks, and was you know, he's so and so's nephew, and it's like, what in the world? And so that was kind of later on. You know, you found out, and then we had a good buddy of ours who's he's an extremely well known blues player that kicked around with us, Sean Chambers. We've done a lot of shows with Sean when he had a Stevie Ray tribute. So anyway, Allman Brothers. Another one of my favorite ones is we played up at some place, and so we're up there, and Danny Toller from the Greg Allman Band, Allman Brothers, was going to, you know, he had asked Chris, they were buddies. I want to come to your show. You mind if I sit in? And Chris said, well, what song do you want to sit in on? He goes, I know them all. It's like, whoa, I didn't ever do that. And so we started MCA, and you know, we did MCA, and then like the live album, and I Ain't the One, and then there's a break. So we play MCA, and then I Ain't the One. He looks across the stage at all the band members and says, can I keep playing? He played the whole show. Dan Toller played the whole show, did it for nothing. And one of the things I remember, one of the things I remember about Danny, if you knew Danny Toller, you knew a good man. He was a very sweet, kind. It's like Greg Martin, the same way. This icon. Funny story with Greg too. This icon of guitar player. There he is, asking to stay in your, you know, and play the night in your band. The thing I remember about Danny, he's an exceptional player, but loudest player I've ever played with in my life. Oh my lands, loud. You know, just absolutely. You know, it was something. So it was. We constantly ran into those people, and the Tomays, nobody they didn't know, the Hatchet guys, and you know, Dave Lubeck and all of those guys, and you know, it's like I wouldn't change it for the world, man. All of the and especially when you meet these people and they're humble and they're nice and they're kind, and another thing that I've always liked is helping out other tribute bands, Skynyrd tribute bands, because you know promote the music, promote it out there. And I've got with a few, won't name their names, shown them some guitar parts and you know, stuff like that. Well, you might want to do it this way because I think this is what. But,
yeah. We've always been that way, though. We've always liked to help out other tribute acts that are paying tribute to Skynyrd, because, I mean, we want to pay tribute to Skynyrd because we love the music, we love everything about it, and we want everybody else to love it. So the more people we can have out there paying tribute to Ronnie and all the guys is just the better for us. I mean, not financially or nothing like that, but like in our minds, we're passing it on, and we're helping it grow and continue to live on, even by helping other tribute acts. So that's
I have a couple of tribute bands here locally in this area, Mr. Breeze and Vicious Cycle. And then our friends down in Texas, Lone Star Skynyrd. Yeah, there's quite a few Skynyrd tribute bands out there.
Yeah, Lone Star Skynyrd is very good. They're very good.
I've always thought someone should start a Skynyrd tribute band and call it Poison Whiskey. I mean, that's the perfect name.
Well, if it's got whiskey in it, you know, it'll fit.
Well, Second Helping is the perfect tribute to Skynyrd name because it just works so well. But I just thought Poison Whiskey was a great name. I always loved that name.
And you know, Al Cooper, he was somewhat of a genius, you know, because whenever that first album came out, Pronounced, And you know, what better way to
Speaking of
put
which,
I mean, a pronounced, because nobody really knew how to pronounce Lynyrd Skynyrd, so he put it right up there on the album.
let me show you this since you brought it up. My
Okay.
daughter bought this for me this week. She was at a thrift store.
Right. Yeah. No kidding. Nice.
Yeah, and she paid $25 for it. I said, I'll send you the money. Go ahead and get it for me because I just love this album cover.
If you go to like these secondhand stores, first thing I do is look for Lynyrd Skynyrd. You're not going to find one in there. It's just hard to find a used Lynyrd Skynyrd album.
I just love the lightning bolt above Ed King's head on this cover.
Yeah, he was kind of fond of that too.
It's so
He was, yeah.
It's so random, but yet fitting at the same time. I always love this album cover. Anyway, sorry. I just am really excited about that because my daughter takes an interest in what I take an interest in, apparently.
Just before we wrap things up here, because we're going to go ahead and wrap things up, I just wanted to mention and thank you guys for coming on. And the listeners really love all these stories. And thank you guys for hooking us up with Greg Martin. I've actually got his number, and I'm going to be giving him a call. And he said that he had showed some interest in coming on. So appreciate that. And anything you guys want to plug or anything that you got upcoming you want to talk about or while you're here?
We've got quite a few shows coming up, of course. You can find those on the website. We are going to be continuing to perform and work the rest of the year out, I think up until November. We typically take December's off because it's just crazy trying to get – there's 14 people in this band and schedules around holidays are difficult. But up until November, we're going to be out performing in
Kentucky.
We're be in Kentucky coming up, West Virginia. We just got done with Florida.
Jacksonville, North Carolina.
So all of that's on the website. You can find that. You can find us on Facebook as well. Second Helping. We put a lot of video from the of us out on the road and stuff like that, and people get to comment and they can ask us questions and stuff like that, which is always fun. Other than that, we just love keeping this alive, man. I mean, Southern rock should never be on the back shelf, in my opinion. So, and Ronnie Van Zant and Skynyrd in particular. But I love all of that Southern rock stuff. I mean, you got Blackfoot, Marshall Tucker, Second Helping.
Yeah, Craig, you weren't supposed to keep that. You were supposed to give that back to him. I gave him mine back.
He can have it. He can have it. We change him every year, so he couldn't get in now if he wanted to. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I would assume out of common sense that a lot of Lynyrd Skynyrd fans listen, and I was very, very, very fortunate to have a friend of mine that was Ed King. Stumbled into it. And one of the things after Ed died that I've always wanted to make sure to tell people is Ed really did have a very strong faith in the Lord. Maybe a lot of people didn't know that, but I think it's good that they did. I do remember the last phone call that I had with him, which was about 4-6 weeks before he died. It was rough. It was emotional. We talked about very personal and private things that I've only shared with one of his sons and Sharon. It was that private. Don't know why he had that conversation with me. He had definitely had a lot more friends closer than I was, but we did, and I'll never forget it. And that's the one where I walked into the living room and held the phone up and said, "Ed, do you want to say anything to the band?" Because he just very gracious. Would never turn us down. Would always help when we asked, and and did all that. Is there anything else you want to say? And that's the famous thing that John talks about. Turn your amps down, turn your guitars up, and he says, make sure you do that and all of that. And it was kind of like a parting anthem. And then the next thing we know, he's passed and went home to the Lord. So that to me, I really want him to know that he.
Well, for what he, went through, to have a heart transplant and to have to take anti-rejection medications for the length of time that he, had that surgery, you'd have to have faith in God in order to deal with what he had to deal with. You couldn't take that alone.
And he and I would, we would talk about, he would talk that I know. I mean, I'm sure it was other people, but I know that he would talk to Greg Martin of the Headhunters, which I can't wait to hear him on here. Greg and I, he would talk with. He would have those deep spiritual conversations, and he was. I knew that side of the guy, and I was blessed that I did.
Did you ever have any interaction with Unknown Henson?
No, but I wanted to.
Ain't that guy something else?
Oh, God, I love that, man. Tell me that's not Ed King humor.
That is Ed King humor right there.
Oh, man.
And for Ed King to like that guy, that you had to be a pretty cool guy. Ed King turned me on to Unknown Henson, not even meaning to. But that Unknown Henson is hilarious, man. He is hilarious, the songs that he's got.
Yeah.
And what a great guitar player. I mean, he's got that rockabilly thing going, and he's just got that old, you just did it too. He just got that old twang, that old country twang, the old school country guitar playing, and he calls rock and roll mess. Anybody can play that mess.
Well, what as we part out of here, I know I'm confident I could speak to our band, our management team, for our band, not to them, for our band, management team, our crew. We would say to anybody, if you like music, go get yourself a Skynyrd album. One of the things that I heard years ago, and that is so true, and I think it would be a good T-shirt, hint, hint, John, is Lynyrd Skynyrd, the American Beatles.
Basically,
it's so true.
Yeah,
it's so true. But we encourage people, get you Lynyrd Skynyrd, listen to it when they come to your town. Go watch them, go see them. They're doing their best. They're kicking it out there. We want you to come see us because. As you know, Griff, we put on, it's a big show. And when I say big show, not just a lot of people, it's big.
Yeah, logistically, it's big. You guys have a lot of equipment, a lot of crew guys, and
big video.
It's a show. It's definitely a show, and people love it.
My favorite part of all of this is my favorite part of every show is after Freebird. And I walk down to the merchandise table, and I'll sit and talk to people, and just to listen to fans of Skynyrd.
Then they walk up in tears.
They just are crying, or they tell you about I saw them in '76. My dad took me to my first concert. Just the effect that Skynyrd had on people and still has to this day. Is and seeing how people are touched by it and how they have such, what's the word I'm looking for? There's core memories that go back to their childhood or their early life. That is my favorite thing in the world to see, that we can bring someone back to a time in their life where it was just music and they were just happy and enjoying being there. I love that part of it. And I would probably do it for free. Just don't tell my management team.
Well, Lynyrd Skynyrd's not just a great music; it's a great story. Where
Right.
where you have everything. You've got rags to riches. You've got this band that came from nothing, and they traveled, and they actually had people that they used to opening up for them, and then they get in a plane crash and they lose their lead singer and their great new guitar player, and they made a comeback. So it's just a magnificent story.
We haven't talked about that as much, but like Steve Gaines was one of my favorites as far as guitar players. When I was playing guitar, we used to do I played slide on it.
T for Texas.
T for Texas. I was so proud of myself when I finally learned how to play that slide, like Steve. And I cannot play it and sing it, so that's why we don't do it anymore. But I really, really loved Steve Gaines, and I was so disappointed that they didn't get more time with him.
Yeah,
and
we
to
missed
see
a
what
lot
they would
of
have
great music whenever that
Yeah.
plane went down with Steve, because he and Ronnie would have collaborated and came
done.
up with a lot
Can you
more.
imagine what they could have done?
Yeah.
Uh,
That's just like when John Lennon got shot. Just look at all the music that we lost after that.
Right.
So
I also want to, we're on video, we're on all this stuff, and hopefully somebody will get it to Johnny. Brother, Johnny, thank you so much for that video. Our agents have worn that out. They send that out all the time. That was unsolicited. It was incredibly kind. Paul Abraham, same thing. We don't forget those guys. Gene Odom. But Johnny doing that for us was that was
a big deal.
That was over the top for us. What the kindness, the fact that he would take time, go on Facebook Live and wish us a happy 35th birthday, and said that that Skynyrd appreciated us keeping it alive and all of that. I mean, that Griff, as I mentioned to you yesterday, that's pedigree. It's.
yeah.
Anybody would want something like that, and he did that out of the kindness to his heart. I did text him and tell him thank you and all this kind of stuff, but now that I'm on video, we wanted to say thank you, and
he does a good job on social media as well.
He does.
I always say Johnny's the nicest guy in rock and roll. He's
always look up.
He's a nice guy.
He does videos every Sunday, God's Day, he calls it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, today's Sunday, God's Day.
Yeah, I watch every time. I really am a fan of what he does.
I am too. I didn't know you did. I watched. Yeah, I don't ever miss him. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get us off topic there.
That's all right. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We appreciate you guys coming on, and we definitely like to have you back whenever you get a chance and catch up. See how things are going, and anything you ever need from us. If we can help you with anything, let us know, and we appreciate the
Anytime
connection.
we're in y'all's neck of the woods, I believe y'all are in different places.
Here in Florida.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah, Craig's up by Akron.
Right. Anytime we're in your neck of the woods, we'll definitely reach out.
Yeah, and all you guys out there in YouTube land, if you get a chance, go check these guys out. You will definitely be glad you did. I've seen a lot of tribute bands. I've heard a lot of Skynyrd music. I've talked to a lot of people. These guys are the real deal here. And
thank you.
You can't get any closer. They sell shows out for a reason, and they know what they're doing. And if they don't have to be formally endorsed by Skynyrd. It's something that just goes unsaid. They hung out with the original members that played the music. They learned it from them, and so that's where you're going to get all of the talent when you see that, and just remember where it came from. So appreciate you guys coming, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was a privilege. We'll be in touch.
All righty. All right, Craig, let's wrap it up, man. It's another Stoned Roadie.
All right. Happy trails to you until we meet again, and see you later, alligator, at the Wild Crocodile. We're out of here. That's a wrap.
Griff Martin here from the Stoned Roadie podcast with Craig Reed, and just want to announce another auction that Paul Connolly, a guy who is friends with the podcast, just recently we had an auction on with some of Paul's stuff, and it went pretty fast. And we're suspecting that we're hoping this one will too, because some of the proceeds collected from this auction will go to the plane crash survivors. And those that follow the podcast, you know that we support the plane crash survivors from the Lynyrd Skynyrd plane crash in 1977, October 20th. So just to make it go pretty fast, because I'll be airing this on Monday morning on the Wake and Bake, and we'll play this, and this is going to go up early on the Griff Martin files. To start off with, it's a really good package of stuff here, several items, and all really cool stuff, just like the last one. It had some Lynyrd Skynyrd plane crash stuff, and it was basically a collection of the history of Lynyrd Skynyrd, because it had Hell House Wood. It was just a complete package of everything. This one is a little bit unique here because it's kind of tied to Craig in a way, in a big way. To start off with here, you see this Survivor Tour little laminate here, and you can see on the back there it says Reed. Well, this is a laminate, and it's a luggage tag that Craig tied onto one of his bags and loaded it on the plane the day of the crash, right as they were loading all their stuff. Craig had this luggage tag on there with his name on it, and then the next time it was seen was when Latrell Metter dug it out of the ground at the crash site. So what happened? You were out there, and then you happened to find something, and share with us what that was.
Yeah, we take people out there and just give them their space and their time to do what they want to do out there. And as we're walking around, sometimes you'll just see things, and I came across that on that.
Now this is like, if Craig, you're looking at this right now, you know what this is, because flip it over there, Latrell, and let's take a look. What's that say? That's Reed, and I believe Craig wrote that on the back. This has been in the ground since October 77, and then we reunited Craig with it at the crash site. There's video of that. I was looking for it. It's on one of the podcasts. But really cool, that of all the things that were found was something that was related to Craig. And as you can see, it's pretty dirty, and but not in bad shape for the amount of years since 1977, October 20th, that this has been in the ground. So just to start the auction off, there you go. That's a really unique piece. I think that's worth quite a bit of money right there. And Paul, he's got poker chips. He's got playing cards. He's got a lot of stuff that came from the plane, and he likes to trickle some of this stuff out and then donate some of the proceeds to the plane crash survivors. So it kind of helps him get rid of some stuff, and then also helps the podcast. Yeah, and so next coming up is a little light bulb that was probably, I'd say, in the instrument panel of the Convair 240, and this is just how it was found. I imagine if you clean that bulb up, you might even be able to light that thing up. Yeah, that was an intact bulb with the base intact, recovered from the crash site, 2 feet deep. Gillsburg, Mississippi is where the plane crashed, and not sure who found that, but it's definitely coming from Paul, and it is original, and it is definitely unique. So then next we have this is a replica, basically. Ronnie Van Zant replica 1977 Street Survivors Tour Pass, signed on the reverse side by plane crash survivor Artimus Pyle. So this is a cool little piece. It's not, an actual, I mean, if this was really Ronnie's right here, which I think somebody has this, that's worth a ton of money. But to have a replica and then have it signed by Artimus on the back that's a pretty cool thing to put in the package. And then moving along, Edge of Forever. This is a Lynyrd Skynyrd signed CD, The Edge of Forever, signed by 9 members, including Gary Rossington, Leon Wilkeson, Billy Powell, Huey Thomason, Johnny Van Zant, Ricky Medlock, Dale Krantz Rossington, Carol Chase, and Michael Cardelloni. Wow, that's, got a lot of heavy hitters on there, you got, of course, Gary in there and Billy and Leon. I mean, you got original members, and then you got tribute band members and some of the heavy hitter tribute band members that we all love and respect. So yeah, that's a cool piece right there. Then just like what was on the last podcast, you've got a piece of the Hell House doc with a letter of authenticity that goes with it. Lynyrd Skynyrd historical artifact, large piece of the original Hell House doc. It's got the dimensions on it. Ronnie walked barefoot on this wood, coming up with the lyrics for every song on the first 3 albums. The doc has now been completely removed. Yeah, the dock is no longer there, and there is no sign of where you can even see where the Hell House was, because there's 2 houses built on that property now. So that is a really cool item there. So yeah, you got the Hell House dock, you got the CD, you got the replica, the Ronnie Van Zant replica, Street Survivors Tour Pass signed by Artimus Pyle. You got the light bulb that's still intact from the crash site that was found 2 feet deep. Then you've got the Survivor Tour luggage tag that was reunited with Craig. And, this, as you can see with the Dockwood, that comes with a letter of authenticity. And so that's been signed by Gene Odom and dated on the date of the plane crash. So yeah, a lot of really great items here, and I believe that you could get Craig to write you up a letter of authenticity, and say, hey, this is my luggage pass that was found, and he can describe it and maybe put a little story on the letter of authenticity for you on that luggage pass. So thanks for looking at the auction. It's going to start, I'd say start Monday. We're not going to say what the opening bid's going to be until on Monday when I check with Paul, and we'll run it as long as Paul says that he wants to run it. So that's how we worked it the last time. It worked out really well, and the individual that bought it was a top-notch guy, really good dude, and he really enjoys all the things that he got. So that'll conclude the items for the Paul Connolly auction number 2, and he'll have more stuff coming up because he's spoke to me, and he's got some stuff he wants to start unloading. Now, he has more than Lynyrd Skynyrd stuff. He's got, you name somebody in rock and roll, he's got something signed by him. I mean, anybody. And so Paul, he's a good dude, a good, honest dude, and authentic. Everything is verified, authentic, no problems. So thanks for looking, and happy bidding.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you until